MCO is coming in after Spain just won the World Cup, completely won.
Bro, Junior World Cup! It doesn't change anything for the MCO. Hello and welcome to the LEC Podcast. I'm joined today by Finn and Odo. How you guys doing?
Splendid.
Great to be back.
Yeah, very exciting. And we're going to talk all about League esports today. I really want to start with...
Whoa, Jack, hold on just a second. Is this conversation encrypted? Is everything just safe and sound?
Of course it is, Odo. Thanks to our partner, ExpressVPN. You can visit expressvpn.com/LEC to get your exclusive LEC offer from the #1 gaming VPN. Signing up today will unlock Hextech chests, giving you access to in-game champions and skin like Aurora and Xin Zhao. Remember, the rewards will vary depending on the plan that you choose. So I really wanted to talk about MSI. I mean, it was a pretty crazy tournament. EU, baby. I mean, a little bit EU, and then it was pretty crazy. Let's talk about it.
I think just the fact that there's been this shift in meta, especially on bot lane, right before internationals, because if you think about it, the mages, they appeared out of nowhere. I think it was just one patch before every major playoffs or even during major playoffs, and then leading into EWC, kind of led to this sort of variance where the West is beating the East a lot more consistently than before, because I felt like outside of G2 before, it was always like 10-20% game win rate, not even match win rate. It was just 10-20% win rate. And now I think overall this year, the West has positive win rate.
Not
against
anymore.
It's 50-50.
It was before KC played DK in finals. It was 11-11,
okay.
and now it's negative. Still, though, a very good win rate. I definitely want to, like, when we're having the LEC weekend in Paris, I want to look at what it was last year, because for sure it was way worse last year.
But I agree with a lot that Odo is saying with the variance, because I remember last time Europe was like looking good internationally, right? When was that? 2018. And you got to go back to that.
2019.
I mean, we were in World Finals 2018 as well.
Yeah.
With Fnatic. So, I mean, okay, you can make arguments, but 2018, I think, is where it kind of started again after being depression mode for a long time. And that was kind of with the removal of Sightstone. So if you go back, all the season before that, Sightstone was the meta. It was these slow, controlled games, and it felt like we couldn't really beat the Asian teams in the slow kind of pace that they were setting, and we couldn't keep up. But when Sightstone was removed, suddenly there was a lot more fog of war on the map. And that's kind of where Europe kind of started contesting these teams and actually pushing them with their hands and just kind of outfighting them. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing again, where they are very high variance games. The meta is changing really fast, and that's really giving Europe, I think, an edge that they kind of need.
And I feel like that was the biggest contrast for me with, like, when you looked at T1 versus G2 and T1 versus KC at EWC, it felt like T1 really wanted to get in the mud, you know? They wanted to continue fighting the whole time. And then KC versus DK, it was like, once DK had 2,000 gold lead, they were like, no, we're not going to give you a single engage from this moment on. We're just going to push in every single lane, play for objectives, play really slow. And it was like this slow-paced, controlled, old-school Korean style that I feel like we've never been able to really conquer.
I feel like it was also kind of a draft gap, because when I think about the game, it is quite streamlined. I feel like, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but when I look at it, you have the sequence around grabs, 8 minutes, you have the sequence around the drakes and all of this stuff. And before, you had it spiced up with Atakan, which just made everyone lose their mind, and people were still not juggling Atakan well, and by the end they were juggling Atakan aggro well to reset the debuffs and all of this stuff. But now I feel like this variance also comes, or like this volatility also comes in the games, but it also makes these games so snowbally, the way we saw it with DK, where they just didn't let you get any sort of foothold, is that it's all about these setups. And if you just get good drafting tools, and I feel like you have good tools in the game as well to pull the trigger, hold space, and all of that stuff, you pretty much have no chance. Because when I think of that DK versus KC series, it was just draft gap 3 games in a row. At least that's how I felt like.
I liked game 3 draft.
Yeah, it was for sure favored for KC, I thought, as well, with the team fighting, with the rel and the little combos they could do, but they just got stomped in the early game.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what is really important right now, is the early game. And one of my favorite things about these international tournaments has been the support just pushing themselves. How little can we be in lane and still win the game? And I feel like every single game they are in lane less and less and less. And I think by the end of Worlds, if it's going like this, they're not going to lane at all.
But that's just mages. I feel like mages just enable this, because every time you get to see this, especially in the Camille games, I feel like when there's a support
Camille Shen matchup.
Yeah, when there's a Camille Shen and it becomes a 2v2 top, or it just becomes a 2v2 mid, that's just a result of having mages bot, because it's just so non-interactive, and it just makes you get such a little reward now, because when you have the majors both, you get to have ADC stop with Vayne, Tristana, Nar, and all of this stuff. And just the fact that you have these majors just makes the whole it just unleashes the supports to go pretty much everywhere they want.
I mean, it's also a deeper understanding of rubber banding XP, I think. Like, the fact that you can get so much catch-up XP while you haven't laned for 7 minutes just makes it so easy to just catch back up into the game.
Do you think also mages are potentially overrated? Like, Ziggs had like the lowest win rate out of the top 10 most played champions at MSI and EWC. And I didn't feel like there were some Victor games that seemed really, really OP, and Taliyah, like when Pace was playing the Taliyah, it looked really strong. But I didn't feel like Mages in and of itself was like game-winning, broken strong on bot.
I don't think so, but it is in the end a push in a lot of matchups, and push kind of dictates the early game, and with that you can snowball. So I think Mages' laning phase being strong is just one of the core things that make them good. But then again, there are many champions that have strong laning phases that aren't necessarily Mages, like Ezreal or Caitlyn. They're still seeing a lot of play.
I also feel like people are still in this stage where they're experimenting and trying to figure out what is best, because I think at the beginning of this sort of cycle in the meta, you used to see Ziggs with a lot of supports, and now, if I'm not mistaken, I just see it exclusively with Camille. And I feel like we're going through this rock, paper, scissors kind of thing where you're trying to figure out who beats what and what empowers what. So maybe the fact that Ziggs was the lowest win rate, I think you said it was the lowest win rate champion at EWC, is also a byproduct of people trying to experiment, and also being probably stuck up in this old way of being, Ziggs was the premier meta mage in the bot lane, but they were just pairing it with the wrong tools.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't the lowest winner, because like if it was like a two played champ, right, they could have 0%. But out of the most played champions, but if you guys were to pick a Western team as like the current best Western team in the world right now, because we had Leon that took down G2 and took Hamo Life to 5 games, but then they immediately lost to Brazil. We had KC that had a really disappointing MSI, but then a really good EWC, and then G2 that had a really good MSI, but then got a really disappointing, had 2 good games against top esports and T1, and then a really disappointing 0-3 to Leon, and then a disappointing EWC. It's hard, no?
I think you got ahead into Leon.
Really?
It pains me to say it.
But they lost to Brazil at EWC.
Yeah, but they had a hangover from MSI. A lot of the MSI teams didn't look quite as good at EWC because they had already played a long tournament. And I think I want to take the result from MSI a little bit. Like I want to value it a little bit higher. And I think Leon did just completely ruin G2's day. They 3-0'd and didn't even look close. And I think G2 has show time and time again that they are the best LEC team, and with how good Leon played against them, you gotta hand it to them. I think right now Leon are the favorites if there is an EU versus NA clash.
It's so weird, because I would think that what G2 did, or the fact that they've been consistent so much throughout the year, would matter a little bit more, but it really doesn't. I really feel like Leon is the best Western team right now, even though it pains me and it sucks a lot to say. And Finn did say, or like you said, that they lost to Brazil. But I feel like that's just the state of, I guess, League of Legends right now, because I think that they lost to a team that practiced in its own bubble, and I want to open this conversation a little bit more to the whole global way of how tournaments are being played. Because if you remember, every time EU or NA even rocks up to international or to Worlds, week 1, great, good results. Week 2, completely crash and burn, gets stoned by everyone. And I feel like that's the beauty of these sort of short-term tournaments, because you don't get the time to adapt, and you get to kind of put to the test what you've been building, or the way you've been scrimming, or what your prio picks are, or your strats are internally. And then when you come out to these events, you get tested. And that's what we saw with Lion as well. I feel
like I'm sitting with 2 traders here. I'm going to say it. G2 and KC both beat Leon 99 out of 100 games. It was just the one game.
Bro, KC lost.
How can you say that with a straight face?
It was a complete fluke. EU for life. We're going to stomp NA at Worlds.
Bro, KC just got 3-0'd by Team Liquid.
And then they did way better at EWC. Like, there was a fluke. It was a fluke.
It was the fluke.
If the LCK teams can say G2 beating them is a fluke, then I'm going to say
I don't think they're saying it.
Jack.
G2 saying it.
You know, all we're doing here is we're bringing up EU stats versus the East.
Yeah.
But, you need to go a little bit more west than that, and you need to take NA stats versus the more East region, which is EU, buddy, we haven't won against NA in a couple of years.
A couple of years, that can't be true.
I mean, I think definitely NA has a favorable record, but I guess to them, like, okay, so everyone says that NA has really bad win rate against Eastern teams, right?
Yeah.
But for NA, Europe is an Eastern team.
Yeah.
So that's just not true.
You had NRG, you had NRG Clap G2, you had NRG Clap G2, you had FlyQuest Clap G2, you had Lion Clap G2, you had TL Clap KC.
Last year G2 beat
FlyQuest at Worlds, yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. We got that one at Worlds.
That's the redemption. We're back.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, speaking of flukes, Perks joining G2 as the head coach. Let's start with that, and then we can get to his more controversial statements. What do you guys think about this? I mean, both of you guys played against Perks, no? When he was a player?
Yeah.
I played against Perks, and I also worked with Dylan, so I get the vibe of what's going on or what's bringing him, but...
I mean, I can just go from what they said in interviews, right? And it seems like Perk's role is kind of to breed, not conflict, but conversation in the team. He's kind of there to push the players to talk more about their issues and not just sweep them under the rug. And I do think he's a good person to do that. I remember Mickey told me a lot about working with Perks. He said when G2 was not doing good, Perks would force the whole team to sit in the sofa like this after scrims and watch their scrims again until they came to a solution to what's going wrong. And I think that is really what it's going to bring. It's going to bring a lot of direction and just try to solve the issues that G2 are having, because they're having issues. I mean, G2, they do look good. They did look good at the first stand, but they still don't really have exactly that last spurt of growth that they need to actually push these teams to go to final.
And speaking of first stand, Perks thought that their wins, their 3-0 against BFX, their 3-0 against Gen G, were flukes. What do you guys think about that?
It's like you got a Christmas present and then it takes it away from you. It's kind of sad. But yeah, I mean, I see where it's coming from.
I mean, okay, listen. It makes sense because think about BFX afterwards. I feel like they ended 7th, if I'm not mistaken, in Spring Split in LCK. So there was a fall from grace.
And they also traded away Diable, right?
Okay.
It's relevant context.
Fair,
but they traded him away while they were struggling as well.
Yeah.
Even Gen G, I feel like they're also not in great form. Right, maybe sure, come Worlds, their form increases, but I don't want to agree with him and say that 6-0ing someone just like that, 6-0ing a whole region is a fluke. But I also think it might be one of those PR things where it's really good to get off your high horse, because if you get this sort of big achievement, and it's as Finn says, you want to you want to push the players to do a little bit more. You can't just be, oh, you 6-0'd LCK, come on, bask in your glory and all of this stuff. It's easier for them to kind of get back to work and get off the high horse and just be like, okay, it was a fluke, but maybe,
But do you think publicly saying it, for me, the problem I have is I feel like it's fine to think it. And for example, us, we could say it. Like if G2 has really bad worlds now, we could look back and say, yeah, it was kind of a fluke. But I don't know if him saying that does anything positive for the team other than just devaluing the accomplishments before he joined.
He's the one who has been with that team for a while now. He sees the culture of the team. And even though G2 felt like this was the best decision, right, to go away from Dylan, who brings this sort of, this processes and the stability. And I think Dylan was there for around 4 years now, if I'm not mistaken. And he knew what everything that Dylan was bringing. Now, if they want to go in this sort of direction with Perks, maybe this is the sort of, attitude that he really wants to bring, so that he pushes the team a little bit forward to have, different set of accomplishments.
I mean, I also think the biggest malady that can inflict G2 and has inflicted them is complacency. Because, I mean, in Europe, no one is really pushing them. They're winning without any real problem. I mean, they are.
I mean, they won 5 games against KC.
They went 5 games, but it's still, we never really thought G2 wouldn't win the split. And
it was like a 40-minute game.
Yeah. But either way, right? They are winning in Europe, and they have for quite a long time. And it feels given that they're going to win in Europe. And I think if you don't have someone to kind of put that fire under you, maybe you get too comfortable in your accomplishments here in Europe and don't push yourself.
Really? Okay, last year, though, we had KC winning, then MKOI winning, then G2 winning.
Yeah.
And then this year thus far, G2 has won, but it was super, super close. I don't feel like this is a big difference from me back in like the 2023 with the Yike Mickey roster. That kind of felt like it was just dog walking the region, winning, 9 out of 10 splits?
Yeah, but they also lost to MKOI. Mad Lions.
Yeah, they lost once, but when you look back on that roster, it was like, they were winning absolutely everything. And I don't feel like that's been the same for this one.
And we'll see at the end of the year, right? Because so far they are winning everything. But I want to go back to a little bit about one thing that you said. If EU 6-0ing Korea at MSI is a fluke, then NA 6-0ing us is also a fluke.
Yeah. But is that a worthy trade-off? I feel like we're losing that
I guess
end of the deal.
losing,
Yeah.
You're right.
I'd rather keep the 3-0 against Gen G. Like, we gotta
we take that.
put that on a
bank
poster.
It,
have a little award for it. Scrim World Champions on the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also wanted to talk a bit about KC, because they had kind of the opposite trajectory of G2, like a really disappointing MSI and then a really good EWC. How do you guys feel like you rate them now, going into the LEC, like the start of the summer split now, with even them being back in Paris, back in their home crowd where they showed such good results?
I mean, what I really liked about KC was a really smart Norwegian analyst that said it, that I really agree with. He said that finally we see KC play to their strengths that they show regionally. Because when we think about KC in Europe, we think a really strong team fighting team with very good individual players. But whenever they went international before, it felt like they kind of lost that, and they weren't really pushing teams, they weren't really looking for fights, and they kind of shriveled up and died. But now we actually saw them, except for the final, go and really contest teams like T1 in this tournament. And I think that's really what we want to see them building on, because they have fantastic players, and I think Yehu has really impressed me.
Yeah, Yehu was really
Yehu
good.
has really impressed me, and he has really shown some immense growth, and he's really funny to watch in interviews.
Man, those interviews are always so funny.
Yeah. It's always just so happy to be there, and to me, that's what I want to see KC doing more, because I think KC could easily take it in the summer splits. Their trajectory is looking fantastic.
It's always this matter of inconsistency with KC, because even when I think of the finals, I was always dabbing them up, and I always felt like they had just enough. They had just enough to beat G2, but I feel like it's the same. And for me, until they fix this sort of consistency issue that they've been having, I'm still not going to be super high on their bandwagon, because I still feel like Yike improved still a lot. I feel like his EWC was quite good, but I don't know. I want to see more from them consistently, because otherwise it's hard to take the G2 pedigree away from them.
But do you think, like, now you feel comfortable rating them as number one going into LEC, or are you guys still going to say G2?
I'm still going to say
G2.
I got to say KC then. But I think, like, I don't know. I feel like we saw not just a KC that returned to form from LEC, but we saw KC kind of take it a step further, because KC was never that good in the early game in LEC. Like, we kind of expected them to be better in the early game because they have Kana, who's consistently very good. Kalis and Busio felt like the best bot lane in the league, but they weren't consistently getting those leads. And Yehu, while he got pretty gapped by Showmaker, I feel like he was, like, in his lane against Chovy, he was really good, and against Faker, he was really good. And I just feel like now we're seeing a KC that can just get a lead in the early game and then run away with it, similar to how G2 has done. And I do think that, like, when I compare player by player, I feel like it's jungle and mid for G2, but the rest I would rather have KC.
I think KC's biggest blessing right now is the fact that bot lane laning phase is not super important. And that's, to me, where sometimes KC... Like, if there was a meta where you have to stomp bot lane, I wouldn't have that much faith in KC, because I don't think their laning...
Their bot lane is really inconsistent.
Yeah, I think laning phase is their weakest area. But when Busio is just unleashed from minute one, he can just roam around, do whatever he wants, set up other lanes, and just create fights, and give Kalist time to scale up, because when Kalist gets to team fights, he's a demon. He's fantastic. But if it is about laning phase, I don't have as much faith in them.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I think of Kalist, I feel like one of his bigger strengths is the fact that he's very flexible. I really didn't feel like his strongest point was the fact that he was this strong lane dominant ADC, like, for example, Hansama is, or traditionally was. He was more about, hey, I'm gonna fit this sort of role player for my team and do what needs to be done. And that also comes because, remember, when Busio came into the league, the strongest point that everyone was hyping him up about was the fact that he was enabling other people to play. And as long as this mage meta is happening in the bot lane, I do trust Kalist to be flexible enough to go and learn these champions and play all of this, because his floor as a player is quite high. Maybe his ceiling when it comes to, overall pound for pound lane dominance is not there. But, even at the beginning of the year, when we saw the Draven highlight on mid, it was super cool where he just adapted the situation, clicked, saw the fact that he had no mana, and then he didn't need to flash and stuff like this. He has that, but that also just enables Busio to do just so much more.
But you think Kalist is a role player? I would never think Kalist is a role player.
I think so.
I don't think that's the correct term.
Okay, role player. Okay, my bad. Role player is not the term that I would go for, but he's just solid, and he when you think of an ADC, what does an ADC need to do? He needs to be there.
But I think
He
Kalista's
needs
like
to
Jackie Love. I feel like he's like really high highs, really low lows.
He's a role player, but his role is popping off. That's
But that's not a role player, no? Like, it's weird to me. For me, it's weird that I like his laning phase has been so. The biggest thing I feel with Kalista is just he's really inconsistent. Like, we've seen him have really good lanes. Like, I think back to when he played against T1, game number 2, he's playing the S role, 1v2's pace, takes over the game on the S role. And then in game number 3, he's on the Lucian, they get 2v2 killed, and the game looked pretty lost, mostly because of bot lane. And that's why I think when he's good, his laning phase is really good. Like, when I played against him, I felt like him and Hansama were the two ADCs that tried to punish you the most in lane. But I just feel like you could see it, especially for me in the game 3 against DK, where he's playing the Saya into the Sivir, where DK are the ones with Rakan. They have the sustain advantage, but Casey just kept wanting to trade, and then they get out-sustained, he's burned both his pots, and then he still goes for the trade, and he just dies and the game looks over.
My argument is that if your lane is inconsistent, you're just not a strong laner.
Yeah,
I mean, I've won lanes against really good top laners. I wouldn't say I was a good laner, but I still was able to win lanes against really good top laners. Being a strong laner means that you either consistently get leads or you never hard lose your lane.
Yep.
That's what a strong laner is. And I think that's still something Kalista has a lot to work on, because all of his other qualities are fantastic.
I just feel like when you think of like a role player, kind of this like passive, very neutral player comes to mind, and I don't think that's what Kalista is.
I think that's kind of an old-fashioned role player, though. I think the new modern League of Legends role player is a little bit more different. I would say, I would even use Keen as an example. He's a super strong laner, but he's kind of a role player in Gen G. He's not really getting a lot of attention. He's just kind of playing his lane in a 1v1. And to me, that's kind of the modern role player, where you are just playing your lane and making sure you're always in a good spot.
It's more about reliability. Like, if you're just reliable and you show up when you need to, when it comes to these objective fights, or when you do the fact, what's the role of ADC?
But I feel like
it's just to do damage.
But his biggest weakness is his lack of reliability. Like, the fact that he can have.
No, but that's just when his laning phase, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's not really a role player. I feel like
you really hung up on this role player.
Okay, sorry. We can move on. I just wanted to ask, like, tiny bit, MSI finals, Homo Life versus BLG. Why did BLG lose? I don't understand. Why did they lose? They should have won. We all wanted Viper to win.
Yeah, I mean, I did think they would win the last game when they were making that comeback, but then they started that Baron, and you see the Hunter Baron, which has been such a hot topic lately. The Baron that just one-shots.
The one-shots
with the free heads that just all over a team when they're starting it, and I don't know how that last game is a blur. I just remember so vividly of them coming back in the game, looking like they were going to take the game, starting Baron, and then just GG.
Also, Dr. Mundo, man. Like, that Mundo draft was just... That champ is not normal. I mean, both of you guys are top laners. I don't know. Do you like Mundo?
Bro, I mean, you asked him, but I love him. I love Mundo. It's just the fact that you can...
He's such a cringe champion.
It is very cringe.
It's so cringe laning as Mundo, because he's just standing there queuing the wave, not interacting with you. You can't dive him because he has his passive up. He rushes Warmog, just heals up between every... It's such a cringe champion.
I don't know, the fact that he's 600 gold down at minute 10, and you know the game is won because he's just not down enough gold, it's a treat.
I mean, to me, the two modern checkmate champions are Mundo and Olaf, because they can just win a game from top lane in draft. Olaf against a low, consistent DPS, high burst team comp, and Mundo against just low damage comps in general. They just run away with the game.
I mean, I hated the MF Nico from BLG, but it's fine. Let's move on back to LEC, because there's been a lot of roster changes moving into Summer Split. We talked a bit about perks and your opinions about that, but we also have Team Heretics making some changes in the coaching staff, bringing in Nuke Duck, and they also now have Mythy, and they also replaced Febiven with Soas. What do you guys think? I mean, this is a pretty star-studded lineup coaching-wise.
Yeah, so because Mitty was there since the beginning of the year. He was there since winter. I think just their assistant coach sadly got the boot. And then Nuke Duck is coming in, which honestly, if I'm an EU fan or I'm a Heretics fan, I'm quite excited, because if you think about it, when this was the core coaching staff of FlyQuest. This was the staff that gave FlyQuest a very dominant run, good international success as well, obviously to the degree that the West can do, right? And then everyone was a little bit shocked as to how they they didn't manage to find a project. They were let go from FlyQuest after it was kind of like, in similar development fashion where you're just doing the best for the org for a really long time and then you get the boot. And now the fact that they find themselves onto Team Heretics, I would be excited because if I think of a pair of coaches who can elevate this team, it has to be them, right? I just can't think of other two or like of a different staff with success that they could have had.
I'm really excited. I mean, I played with NukeTalk 2022 in Excel, and he was the coach of that team. He was playing mid, but he was the coach of that team. He's always been super smart about the game. Such a hack?
Yeah, it's such a hack to have a coach and a player at the same time.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, he had a tendency to get really tilted and wasn't always the most eloquent teammate in reviews. So I'm really impressed at how he has developed as a coach. Obviously got coaching staff of the split multiple times over NA, had a super successful FlyQuest team there. And I'm really interested to see how he's going to tackle coming into a team that is, some would say, a bit lower on the standings, you would expect. Because I think in NA, he always had quite good rosters. He had the Inspired ones, the Whippo ones, or whatever. And now he is in Europe. He's playing or is coaching Team Heretics, which I think is a challenge to coach.
Yeah.
Like, you're coming into a team that is not expected to go into playoffs. Most people would put them like probably bottom 8, 9, 10. And I'm really curious to see how he's going to tackle this challenge.
But on the coaching discussion, it's really interesting because you brought up something that I didn't really think about before because I was just dabbing them up and giving them their accolades and stuff. Being a coach on a team or like making a team go from, bottom 2 to making a playoffs team or a top 4 team, you need a completely different skill set than taking a championship level team and making them win a championship.
It's funny you say that.
Because, for example, why? Why is it funny?
Because you're the coach on Fnatic, who had one of the worst seasons in LEC history.
Wow. I just felt a gust of air leave the room.
That's actually what I just read that.
I will address that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
The analogy I wanted to make was that in 2015, when I joined the league, I had Proli as my coach. And I felt like this guy was an absolute phenomenon when it comes to taking a team that is just rookies and bad players, because I don't think we were objectively good. We went to Worlds that year, but then 2016, he had the Forgiven roster with me, and it was supposed to be a championship-winning roster, and, sadly,
Like, he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it because the skill set needed was completely different. So now, that's what I'm extremely curious to look at this Team Heretics roster is, do we have that case where you need coaches that they don't need to lock in to make you win a championship. They need to lock in to teach you those fundamentals, to elevate you so that you can make maybe top 6 or even top 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, as humans, you easily want to simplify things. And I think when it comes to coaches, if you want to have 2 boxes, you have the type A coach, which is big, strong guy. You do this, you do that. That kind of works to elevate teams with rookies that just kind of tells people what to do, how to win games. And then you have the type B. I think about people like Grabs, for example, that I think is pretty good at balancing egos and kind of making people that are really good but could be problematic, have problematic personalities, kind of come together and then align on the same goal. And having a coach that can do both, obviously a miracle.
Is NukeTalk both, you think?
I think that's going to be shown this split, because I think NukeTalk definitely has that personality to just tell people how it is. I don't think anyone can ego check him. He will just say it how it is. He's not going to bow down to someone just because they're really good at clicking buttons.
Yeah.
But I want to see how he tackles a team like Heretics that is going to face serious challenges this split, because they need a lot of work if they are going to push into playoffs, top 4 Worlds qualifications.
Realistically, do you think they can do that, or do you think that he needs to go, like, that this year is kind of whatever and he needs to rebuild?
I would say no. I would not say there's a chance for Heretics to make Worlds, but I would love to be proven wrong.
Okay.
I would love to see Heretics make a miracle run on the back of NukeTalk.
Fair enough. Let's talk about Fnatic.
Okay, elephant in the room. Come on, ask me, Jack.
Well, so you guys got Saboro, right? Or is it Saboro or Soboro? Soboro.
It's like the Soboro bread, from Daejeon.
Yeah. I read a lot of people saying he was the worst top in LPL.
And I might agree. Okay. So
okay.
you might also disagree. He might also disagree.
I might agree.
You will not know.
I hope you didn't bring the worst top in LPL.
I will agree. He was, in that group, the worst top laner. That's a fact.
Okay.
But that group had literally all the daddies of LPL tops. You had, what was it? BLG, you had AL, you have JDG, you have pretty much the doomed group because they won the Demacia Cup. So IG won the Demacia Cup. And then based on that seeding, they got into that group with kind of like, what was it? The Legends and the Fries group in LCK from last year, I think, where just there was this huge...
Did you call it Fries?
Yes. But you had this like huge strength imbalance between the groups. And honestly, any EU top laner, name me one EU top laner that you would put in that group of death in LPL, and you tell me that he's not the worst top laner.
Zero.
But so it's been Flandre and 369?
It was Blaine, Flandre, 369.
Is it Sheer?
I forgot what that...
Zuyan?
I can look it up.
What is his name? The JDG top laner. Because 369 took a break, no? He stepped down.
He might have.
I could be talking straight out of my ass right now. I do not know what I'm talking about. It's better that Jack looks it up. But I'm pretty sure 369 at one point stepped down, right?
Yeah. But anyway, so I think when you take the top 4 teams in LPL, or like the top 5 or top 6 teams in LPL, and you put them in a group, name me one EU top laner that you would put him in that group where he's not the worst.
I think BB could do okay. I think he has a good track record of showing it, but obviously it's a hard group. I don't disagree that there are some really good top laners over in China, and he got to face all the best.
Okay, so let's say he's not maybe he would be middle of the pack, right? But at the same time, that's just the reality of the situation when you're playing against the best players in that region.
Yeah, I mean,
someone has to be the worst.
I get your argument. He went up against the absolute best in China and didn't look very good, but that doesn't mean he's the worst LPL top laner.
But he also showed a lot of potential, which is a cursed word, an absolute cursed word.
Potential. Tell me about the potential.
It's like the old CLG meme where you just have potential, but
I prefer it to the new one though, so it's okay.
I have seen him lose games and I have seen him win games against Bin and all the best top laners in China. And yeah, there were inconsistencies. Yes, he could have been a lot better, but at the same time, you are middle of the split, you're between spring and summer, your options are quite limited, and from the pool of available talent, I would happily take the challenge, and I think a lot of people would happily take the challenge of getting someone who had 2 splits playing against the best top laners in China and went toe to toe, maybe lost more than he won, but at the same time, that's a better starting point than many other options.
I don't disagree, but I need you to tell me, what does he bring that's good? Because a lot of times players get in players, or coaches get in players, and they're like, yeah, he's really hardworking, he's really vocal, but tell me what Subaru does that is actually good. Because you probably work with him closer than anyone. You don't need to reveal the strats, but tell me what is his good qualities.
I just think his game sense is really impressive, because even though he's Korean and he has limited language skills in English, of course, come mid-game, I feel like he is that traditional Korean top laner who sees the map clear and knows how to win games. He will win games off of map movements and even proper lane assignments, where I feel like everyone traditionally in EU, or every time any fan of LoL esports, they just watch and they expect good laning phase. If that guy is good in laning phase, yeah, he's my hero, kind of like examples like Alfari come to mind, where his lane dominance was just so incredibly high that people just overlooked everything else. But in reality, he's kind of like this more of a BB style, where when it comes to laning phase, maybe a little bit more lackluster, I would say. But when it comes to overall mid-game, that's where most of the games are won. And I feel like that's also where Fnatic's most of their issues came from, was from that mid-game, where there were just a lot of throws and a lot of, lack of direction when it came from top lane synergy between Empiros before and Vladi.
I felt like with Fnatic, it was a lot top lane laning phase that was often an issue. Do you feel like that'll be better with Saburo? And I'm surprised that you say the mid game. I would have thought that with the language barrier, that would be a lot harder to be able to have good macro with him. Like when I remember, just speaking from personal experience, playing with Ebby and Ruby, it felt like the hardest I've ever had playing macro with the team, because one, they had like a different idea of how to play the game, because I feel like every player has a bit of a different idea, but even more so, I felt like with Ebby, since he had so much experience in Japan, but then the language barrier made it harder as well. Is that a worry, or do you feel like it's fine?
So I was surprised with the language barrier as well, because I thought it would be a lot bigger. But when it comes to playing with Korean players, because I've been on both sides of the spectrum, where you have a Korean person that doesn't speak English well, for example, Ryu in my case, and he's a little bit more of an introvert, it takes a lot more time to accommodate them to, come out of their shell, express their ideas the way they want them to be expressed. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where you have someone who's a complete, nutcase in that sense, where he knows 3 words in English, but he just spams them no matter what.
That was kind of Ebby, yeah.
Yeah, but Soboro is kind of like the middle ground between that. He's a little bit more on the extrovert side, so his English, level is kind of like, let's say, exaggeration, just for the sake of exaggeration, of like a 7-year-old or something. But he is super happy to try and speak. And on the other topic, he is also someone who inherently his vision of the game is similar to what Fnatic wants to do. So it makes a lot more sense. So I feel like the boys didn't really come into this sort of issue where there's different ideas when it comes to mid-game.
Are you confident in Fnatic?
Fnatic's making top 3.
Top 3. He says with a stressful
Odo has
sigh.
already booked his ticket to America. He's going there.
Going to Worlds no
Gillian
matter
style.
what.
I applied for my visa. Here's what's the interesting part for me for this summer split. Usually you have the lower teams who are trying to upgrade, to make a push for top 3, to make a push for Worlds and winning LEC in summer. But now I feel like, I don't know if I'm mistaken, but it feels like it's the first time in a little while where the top 6 teams are all making changes. And I just don't have the feeling that a lot of these changes are going to be a hit. Because
KC aren't changing anything.
KC are not changing anything. G2 changed
coach,
and that's it. But on the player side, I feel like MKOI has Nightslayer sitting behind Merwin, breathing down his neck.
like the Undertaker.
Yeah, you have Vitality who changed Humanoid for Fiesta, for Fiesta. Who else is there? GX is making changes after it's the first time in the org's history they make top 4 back-to-back. And do you guys think these will hit?
I mean, I just know GX historically loves to make changes. So it's a little bit surprising that they haven't made it now, but I think GX kind of feel like they've hit the wall with this roster. This roster has been together now for 1.5 years, and they haven't really pushed any way further, and I think they feel like something needs to change, and bringing Flacked and Oscarinin could be that.
So those are the only 2 changes, Flacked and Oscarinin for Lot and Noah.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I feel like with Giant X, it seemed like Noah had a really poor spring split.
Yeah.
And it just didn't feel like things were really working out anymore. And even in winter, he wasn't quite the same.
I think in winter he was really good, no? I remember us talking about how good Noah...
You're right. In winter he was good, and then in spring he kind of fell off. But he also, I feel like it's very clear that he's like a confidence player, and when his confidence drops. And I mean, we saw also like Flacked, to be fair, when he replaced me in Heretics suddenly did way better.
Hey, Jack, don't worry about it. When I got replaced by Odo, they did way better as well.
So maybe Flacked is like Bob the Builder, he comes in and he fixes the situation, and he is a really like cheerful guy. So I could imagine if the mood of the team wasn't the best, which I feel like can happen because it's been the same roster for so long.
It will happen in this industry. And what I remember from Flacked is that he was a really proficient mage player back in the day.
He is a really good mage player.
He was the first Seraphine, I think. When I think of Flacked, I think of Seraphine somehow.
So I'm really excited to see if he brings his own flair to the meta, if it's going to stay like this, because I think he could do a lot of really cool things down in the bot lane.
And
I agree.
To be honest, when I think of GX and top lane changes, they were all of success, because even when I got benched for the Antonio, they made playoffs after we just went back-to-back 10th, so we all went through that. But the Flacked edition also makes sense because I don't really see him as this very, I wouldn't really say stubborn, but caught up in the whole laning phase shebang kind of player. I feel like he's a little bit more flexible. But when I think of GX, their main problem I felt like was top lane. And not in the sense where Locke was bad. I felt like he was doing his role fine. He was, just showing up, playing tanks, and kind of just... Actually, if there's one player to put the role player on, it's probably Locke. But I feel like Oscar is a little bit more of a trump card, I guess, or a little bit of this kind of like Joker card, where he's just bringing a lot of madness and chaos, because his overall strength is laning phase. I feel like Oscar. I'm not really sure if his mid game was that strong, but when I think of Oscar and good performances, I feel like they come off of the back of strong laning phases and just going for like counter picks and just making top extremely volatile. Which, to their credit, I feel like makes sense, because when I was thinking of GX, their only volatility came from Isma, and there's only so much one man can do.
Well, I'll tell you this much: I'm very excited for Fnatic versus GX for the grudge match. I think that's gonna be fantastic.
The worst top
content.
in the LPL versus the Fnatic fans would say worst top in the LEC.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna be fantastic because I also think Fnatic and GX will kind of be competing for the same spot. So I think I'm really excited for that game at least.
Yeah, it's gonna be a grudge match and a half, especially for Oscar as well. And I'm also. Do you guys think? I feel like Oscar, in a way, he was kind of underrated.
Yes.
Because I feel like in Fnatic, he was so like overly hated. Like he kind of became the scapegoat for Fnatic, but he was always like top 5 in LEC. So it felt weird that he now went so long without playing.
I remember some fantastic Oscar performances on Kazante against BB. He absolutely dumpstered Kana one series. I think he has had some really great series, but it's also followed by quite low lows. And I think to me that's where Oscar is. He's a very high variance player, as you say, Odoamne. He's very, when he's good, he's fantastic, and when he's bad, he looks pretty mediocre. And to me, I want to see if this time off has given him some more space to think about how he wants to play the game. I know he went to Korea to boot camp. I know he's now coming back with a fresh mind, with a new team, and I think his motivation will be sky high.
I just need him to have a higher floor, because people seem to forget the fact that when he got booted off of Fnatic, he wasn't good that year. It's just that whole year got saved by the incredible fact that he just murdered Kana throughout that whole series, and Fnatic randomly makes Worlds when they had no business making Worlds that year, and he came off of Oscar's back, you know. And then remember, because I remember us building that whole I think finals it was.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were like, man, Oscar just dumpster Kana. He is back. Let's build up. Let's make segments around him. Let's hype him up. Let's show him that he's the best. And then he just got gapped 3 games in a row, I think it was. And it wasn't even close to his level that he had against Kana.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when it matters most, he shows up. Even against me, when I was on GX, I was on GX, yeah. He played with a broken hand, and he just gapped my whole team. With a broken hand, got pentakill on Gwen, first penta of his career, with a broken hand. Fnatic makes Worlds.
Wow, you're giving out charity over here or what?
I mean, that's what the people need to hear, because honestly, GX, this is summer split. If there's one guy who carries you to Worlds, it seems that in recent history, it's Oscar Inen.
I do think Oscar Inen is severely underrated, and I think it's one of the better pickups of this offseason, because we talked about it as well. This offseason has a wide array of roster changes, some good, some bad. I think Oscar is one of the ones I'm more excited to see how it's going to turn out.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking, you said this was one of the better ones. This is probably one of the more controversial ones, with Vitality changing Humanoid for Fiesta. After, I think, like, Vitality felt like the fan favorites this split, and everybody was super hyped about them. It felt like they just needed to, figure things out. It was more, for me, a coaching issue rather than anything. Like, their drafts always felt a bit off, and it felt like they didn't bounce back the best from losses. Yeah. What do you guys think?
So, I don't remember exactly who they played against, but it was, I think, first or second round of playoffs in spring, and they just lost 0-3. They just got absolutely dumpstered. And I think I said this might be a team breaker series. And it really does feel like something changed in Vitality, because when you think about Vitality in spring, it was the good vibes, the happy team, the joyful, they were all friends, they were happy, they were winning games. It just seemed like a good time.
Yeah, but they got 3-0 by MKOI and then 3-0 by Giant-X.
Yeah, it was
the Giant-X was the one that was crazy, because they had a gold lead in all 3 games, I think, and every single game went above 40 minutes.
And it feels like when you're in a team that's always happy, always smiling, and then you get just hit with a brick wall, it just changes everything overnight.
I mean, if everything is about the smiles, then there's just nothing to smile about. It can't go downhill, yeah.
So I'm not surprised they made a roster change. I am a little bit surprised that they went for Fiesta over Humanoid, because I do think Humanoid was a very vocal cornerstone of that team. I can just go from what they're saying in interviews, but everyone was always praising how Humanoid was the one making the calls, pushing the game forward, really putting through his idea of the game. And then to replace someone that's super vocal with a Korean who might not have the best English skills. I do not know how well Fiesta speaks English. I know he's been in Europe for quite some time, so it's probably good or fine. But still, I don't think Fiesta is going to lead the game in the same way that Humanoid has led this team. And someone in that team is going to have to step up.
Yeah.
Someone needs to step up and take that mantle.
Yeah, because it's odd, because I think one of the first things that I heard from Vitality, from them internally, in interviews and stuff, when Humanoid joined was, man, this guy was a breath of fresh air. He's everything we needed. He's back with Karzi, and this guy is just doing so much in mid game. He has great ideas on how to make the team win, convert those states into wins. And then it's not like you're replacing, let's say, maybe a side character, like, for example, back to the Fnatic thing, where you replace someone who's maybe not, like, high in the shot calling department with someone else just to upgrade in terms of raw skill. You're replacing the guy who you said was the whole engine of your team. And now it's exactly as Finn said. Who is that person who's going to step up for Vitality? Because I'm looking at maybe Linsas and Karzi behind that demon inside of him. I feel like he's quite smart about the game. But now that whole strength of Vitality, where everyone could maybe, perhaps focus on their own individual play, now they have to distribute some of that, brain power into different spots. Karzi needs to pick up more of that shot calling role. Linsas needs to pick up more of that shot calling role, because this roster move maybe comes from the back of attitude problems or whatever, but it's still a little bit nonsense to me, because you can't just take the guy who had so much power in terms of putting everyone in line and together and just be like, okay, good luck, everyone. You guys can all do a little bit more. Let's make more with less.
I agree with you, Odo. I think Vitality would be like 6th or 7th place. I feel like it was so clear. Like, at first, when they signed Humanoid and replaced Shayak, I was like, what are they doing? Shayak looked really good.
Yeah.
But then it felt so clear that their mid-game had improved so much. Overall, they just looked way cleaner. Everybody was more on the same page. And Humanoid was really good in early laning phase, especially. He kind of tapered off a little bit towards the end. But overall, the team just looked really, really good. But it just felt like they collapsed at the end. But I still had high hopes for them going into summer. But now with this signing, I feel like they kind of have to rebuild the whole structure, as you say, Odo. So I definitely don't think this team is making Worlds.
Yeah, and I think there was already high pressure on Naknako to win lane and make miracles happen. I think that pressure is now skyrocketed. It's more on Naknako to maybe just make unusual plays, win lanes super hard, and make leads happen from there, because what Vitality was good at and what we enjoyed was they had a clear identity and clear direction in how they wanted to play the game. They were playing scrappy, but they were committed to the bit. Like an SNL sketch, they were all going into it. And in the same way, I do not know if they can do that now with these rostrations, but it's really interesting to follow, for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And while Vitality's roster change might be the most controversial, SK's might be the least.
Was it just slow queue for leader?
Slow queue for leader. Queue, yeah. Maybe, I think Finn, you might find this. Do you find this controversial?
I'm torn.
Yeah,
I'm really torn, because I love Leader. That's my boy. He's my teammate from Astralis, and we've been through tough times together. And I think he's a really fun player to watch. But he clearly showed that there were things that he couldn't do. And I am surprised that they actually made a roster change, because I thought Mickey was quite committed to this team. And I thought they would at least see the year through before they made a different idea. But they brought in Slow Q, Swedish, mid laner who has played in KC Academy and looked really good in the RLs and is apparently a breath of fresh air for the team.
I mean, he also played with them in esports World Cup qualifier, and I think a lot of people felt like the team looked already a lot better with Slow Q.
Yeah.
And I do think that for me the biggest weakness when you looked at SK was that Mickey always had to come mid.
Yeah.
Skeens always had to come mid, and it was really all about mid.
Yeah.
But even then, Leader had like maybe 1 out of 5 games where he like really had a good game, but that's not enough when the whole team is playing for you.
To me, I'm thinking about end of 2025 when Skeens looked really good in SK.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a really good split, so that's why they kept him. But then when you bring in Leader, I think Skeens kind of gets restricted a lot. He gets constricted in what plays he can make. And I want to see a Skeens now in summer that is a lot more liberal and free and fluid in his gameplay together with Mickey, because I think that's what he needs, because he was really tied down.
I think so too, because when I think of Skeens, I feel like his best parallel or comparison is Isma. I feel like Isma went through the same route as him, where he was restricted and had to play for someone. But the moment he gets empowered a little bit more and he can do a lot more from himself, he can become this catalyst for success for SK. Because when I think about their players overall, on paper, it really doesn't seem bad. You have Wonder, you have Yopa, you have Mickey in the bot lane. Yopa showed us many times that he can do in these games where he's like set up for success. He can do well. So even though people might think that it's a sleeper move because all of a sudden the hate watch has ended, you cannot just watch SK because leader is not there, so you're not interested in them. Now I'm curious to see if the other players can can bloom a little bit and show us again what they've been capable of. But still, my answer is no.
Moving on, we have a new champion that is entering the Rift that we didn't
Is
get
the
to
top
see
laner?
at either MSI or EWC. It's Locke.
He's not an AD carrier, of course not
It's
a top
Locke.
laner.
He's like a mid lane assassin.
Completely busted.
I want Finn. You're gonna describe his kit, and then I'm gonna make the sound effect for each ability.
Okay.
Okay, so Locke's Q is where he throws out 3 nails. Now, every nail that connects with an opponent champion adds a mark.
Okay.
And when he auto-attacks this champion, depending on how many marks they have, the more damage he does. So 3 Qs is big boom. Thank you, Jack.
I don't think it makes that sound.
It's like...
Maybe you should be doing the sound effects, bro.
Okay, so he throws out the needles. Pew, pew, pew. And then his W, it's like a Tamkench E. He takes damage. And then after a while, after the delay, he heals it back up. And then he's suddenly back to full HP.
Yes, that's the part you minimize the part that this ability heals you for your almost whole HP bar.
Because it scales with AP.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. He basically goes in, and the most stupid part about Locke W is that it's reactivatable when he's stunned. For no reason at all.
Wait, really? You can use it when you're stunned?
Yes, you can. You
Just see him. It's so easy.
So you can reactivate the HP restoration part of his W while you are CC'd, which is the most stupid idea I've ever heard because it removes all counterplay to it. Now his E, it's like a backwards echo E. So instead of being a dash and then a blink, it's a blink and then a dash, and both parts do damage. So if you land your E, blink on someone, and then dash on them, it's a lot more damage than you would if you just use it as a gap closer.
And the sound effects, please. Okay, pretty good.
And the ult, I don't know how to better describe it than it's a big AoE slow that he throws down. He throws down his little relic.
His little bottle.
His little bottle of war. And then basically everyone that gets hit by the ult is marked, slowed by 90%, takes a little bit of damage, but suddenly they're tagged by the Elder buff. So if they go down below 10% HP, they then get executed. If they get executed, Locke can then go pick up his relic, and then just run away, and suddenly the execution threshold has increased with 0.5%, and he gets a little bit of cooldown reduction on the ult.
Very good, Finn. This could be like a new profession, I think, maybe.
Yeah, champion descriptions, yeah.
Yeah,
and sound effects.
And sound
important,
effects, yeah. That's good. So, Odo, you clearly seem to think that this champion is pretty weak and needs buffs.
Yeah, sure. Like every new Riot Games champion for the last 5 years, this champion needs buffs.
That's not true, though. Most of the recent champions, I think, have been pretty healthy. This is the outlier at this point.
I mean, this champion gives me nightmare fuel because when I thought of his E, or when I saw his E, all I could think about was the old Akali ult, the one where you don't even need to dash through a champion. You just click somewhere and you just flash whenever you want. Because that's the level of OP it is. And also Finn conveniently left out that the fact that when you get to take down your E resets.
True, you forgot that. You're fired.
I left it out on purpose.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to nerf the champion. It's fun.
I think this champion is incredibly strong, but I think not by itself, not in a vacuum. I feel like just in the way the meta is right now, with Orianna being pick or ban for the last 15 patches or so, I think he comes and warps the meta a little bit around him because he's a good counter to these sort of immobile AP mages on mid, because before that you didn't really have any AP assassin, which is traditionally the counter to immobile mages in the game anymore, and Orianna and Azir were just running loose for the longest time. And now for the most of the games that I see is this sort of trade-off where all of a sudden you cannot pick Orianna because Locke exists, so now the meta is being warped a little bit where Locke needs to be banned for you to pick Orianna, and then you just start playing the game with essentially 2 less bans if you choose so. But I do feel like he's an interesting champion because with this AP majors on bot lane as well, he's finding his way slowly in the bot lane as well, where if you play, I don't know, like a Syndra or a Ziggs, all of a sudden you get slammed by a Camille Locke, which is one of the dankest lanes you can have. But he is warping it and making it a little bit where he's throwing himself in the meta. I don't think he's OP by himself because I think he gets countered by a lot of stuff.
In competitive play.
Do you not think he'll be like 100% pick ban in the first few weeks?
I think so.
I think he'll be 100% pick ban, but not necessarily because he as a champion is really good, but also because Odo says the meta. The meta right now is very scrappy.
I feel like both of you guys are paid to not get Locke nerfed right now.
I mean, I love playing.
He's 100% pick ban, but he's not OP.
Okay, in competitive, he's not OP. But in solo queue, this champion is just Thanos.
Okay.
There is no way where that W is healthy, that the E is healthy. His Q and ult are honestly fine. I don't have an issue.
But so why is he not OP and competitive then?
Because I think if
Feast or
Because it's
famine.
bad against tanks.
I mean, in the 5v5, it's quite hard for him to access the backline unless he finds really good flanks. And he's quite easy to... he's not quite easy to peel, but he has a hard time getting his full damage unless he can land all 3 Qs. And landing that against human pro players is not that easy in a scrappy team fight. So he is very skill shot reliant on landing his damage. I think if I had to compare him to champion, I would say it's a mix between Naafiri and Echo.
Yeah.
I think he's very similar to Naafiri with a Q, where if you miss one part of your Q, you lose a lot of damage.
He's an assassin. So the flexibility of assassins nowadays with Echo and Naafiri is what makes them consistent or more reliable. Naafiri can just press W, gets a shield on a reset to make her a little bit more scrappy. Echo, at any point, he's like, oh, well, I'm stuck. I press ult and I just yeet myself back. While with Locke, you have none of those things. You have a W that's sure, it will heal you, but you're still in the middle of 5 people. So if you're not extremely precise with your kit and the way you utilize it, if you need to play a little bit more on the outskirts, you can't really destroy yourself.
You need the one shot so you can blink out again. If you go in, you don't get the kill, you can't blink out, you are dead. Doesn't matter that your W is going to heal you to full health. Against a team comp that looks at champions.
That's just the bane of all assassins in League of Legends in competitive play is coordination. When you face against someone who they know that, oh, well, this champion, all it can do is go in, and if I look only at him going in and I just pop him, then he's useless. That's why in solo queue, these champions are so much more OP because you're not playing against people with voice comms. You're not playing against people who are coordinated. And he gets to shine. He gets to show why his kit is just so strong.
Yeah, I think one of Locke's main issues, why I think he will be hindered a little bit in pro play with time, is that when you think about the strong assassins in pro play, there's a commonality between all of them. And it's stealth or untargetability. So you think about Akali's Shroud. That's the only reason Akali is good. She can go in, sit on your carries, and not take damage for a while. You think about Naafiri W having a lot of outplay potential. You think about Kiana being in stealth all the time. You think about Zed being able to ult to cancel out stuff. He is playing jungle, not mid, of course. Locke does not have any of that bullshittery. Locke only has his W, which, to be fair, is quite oppressive, but it's still a very honest spell.
So you should give Locke stealth, that's what you're saying. No. I'm messing with you, but I get what you're saying.
So I do think he will struggle to really find backline access in pro play team fights.
Yep.
Have either of you guys played League Classic yet?
I'm
going down nostalgia lane.
I went yesterday on PBE.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I launched the game and I started crying when I heard the old champion.
Bro, you started crying.
Bro, I heard it and I was like, I was instantly a kid again. That soundtrack in the champion select is absolute peak.
Yeah.
The drums, the whistling, the howling and everything, I'm like, oh.
Is it the old ranked one? Or is it the old normal game one? Do you know what I mean? Is it the... Because the old ranked one gave me so much anxiety.
The old ranked one was like scary.
It's the old...
Because that was the ranked one. But it was probably the normal game one.
It might have been the normal game one.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was great. It was great. I went into the game. I checked the items. I looked at them and I was like, you should not be in the game at least 10 times. But it was...
What did you play? What did you play?
So I just went in a custom game and I played Jax. And I was sad that I don't have the old Jax where I can dodge based on a percentage, right?
Oh, so it's
that's season 1.
It's still the Counter-Strike where it does the helicopter, yeah?
Yeah, it seemed like it was season 3-ish, season 4-ish kind of champions. But yeah, items were still there. There was Banner of Command, there was Mana Manipulator, there was like a lot of cool
I
stuff.
don't even remember
Sides.
that.
I'm so sad.
Don't you remember? Oh, I mean, you didn't play, but Mana
I played in season 2, but I
So
don't
Mana
remember
Manipulator was the support item.
What?
Yeah, it was the item that you pay like 300 gold, and it gives you an aura that gives mana regen to your teammates.
Oh, is it the double? No, what
was
double?
that-
double. What is the small one
The
called?
double thingy, and
Yeah.
it looks like a yellow circle.
Yeah,
when you
okay,
upgrade
I
it.
know what it is. I'm just really sad Aurelia is not in it. Old Aurelia with
She's
Trid
not?
Force and Zephyr.
Ooh.
Oh.
Zephyr is in the game.
Zephyr's in the game, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff. I'm really excited. What champion do you want to play, Jack? Are you gonna play? What champion do you want to play?
Probably Lucian, no? The old Lucian? Is he in there? He is. No, not old Lucian. Sorry, old Graves. I mean.
Yeah, you have to
He
play Old
must be
Graves.
in there.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah.
Old Mafia Graves crit animation. Oh my
It
goodness.
was so nice. I think that's probably the top one for me. But in general, I feel like when I think about it now, I don't feel like I'll have that much nostalgia, but maybe I just need to jump in and then I like the music,
I'm
the
telling
whole
you,
vibe.
the Champions League, the first one, you get in there and you're like, oh, you get into the game, you see the minion auto attacks being desynced and they're hitting you, but you don't take damage. You take it later, it screws up your last hits. It's gonna be peak.
I feel like music is so strong for nostalgia. Like when I
Yeah.
listen to some of the old songs when I used to play League, I just like I can picture it, and it's like so powerful. But yeah. How about you, Finn? You excited for it? You gonna be
I mean,
playing?
I'm super excited. There's a few things I want to try for sure. But I mean, back then I was mostly a Fizz one trick.
I played Fizz too.
Yeah.
I had I remember I got the Fisherman's Fizz skin.
I always played the Tundra one. The
Tundra one is
Tundra
good
Fizz.
too.
I got it as a birthday
I was
present when I was like 12.
My champion back then, I was playing Lee Sin and I was just shielding the minions, so they couldn't last it. Because it was back then where shields would not appear on the HP bar.
yeah, you see the little spinning thing around
So
them.
I would max W and I would shield every minion in lane, and I'm like, are you gonna figure it out? Are you gonna last hit it? It was so toxic.
I remember I felt so smart on Fizz because I would like nearly never press E again because I always thought the bigger was better because it's slowed and stuff,
Yeah.
And you could kind of you can move at
Yeah,
the end,
yeah, yeah.
I just thought that was like so smart.
Yeah.
And now I don't think it's that smart anymore. But, yeah.
That was really impressive, Jack.
It was
Don't- don't take
it
away.
was a simpler time. I remember my first panic kill was on release Hecarim.
Oh my god, that was so peachy.
I also played a lot of Hecarim.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I just want to play Surge, Ignite Fizz, and all in level 2.
You have Surge, you have Fortify, you have Promote Minion, you have all of that good stuff.
All the wacky old summoner spells I kind of want to try.
Okay, do not do Revive Clarity because it might still get you banned.
Revive TP Karthus, Phantom Lord style.
Oh.
I saw that Scarra played it in the show match.
We have the show match as well, the League Classic. We kind of forgot to bring it up, but in the show match for Paris, it's going to be League Classic. It's going to be, I think I have it here, the players that are going to play. It's like Reckless versus Forgiven.
Oh my god, there's so many stores.
And Soaz, Cyanide, Froggen, Nif. Oh my god. It's some crazy.
There's like so many.
Alex Ich is playing
Oh
Yellow
my
Star.
god, Alex Ich. I haven't seen Alex Ich in about 12 years.
I
Because
think
I started playing when he was still there, and he was such an icon of the game. He was, even though he wasn't the guy I was playing against on my lane, the fact that he was there, that's aura. There's no one who has more aura for those times than Alex Ich.
I think back to his Master E AP Pentakill a lot.
Oh.
I don't know which tournament it was. Maybe it was an IPL
It was an IEM
somewhere.
or an
IEM,
IPL, yeah.
IPL, where he just goes mid and gets like a Pentakill in 5 seconds.
Out of thin air, just
zoom,
like that.
zoom, zoom, zoom.
We might see that again.
Yeah.
Master E is back.
Actually, Alex Ish, AP Master E in the big 2-6.
Holy.
But you know what's the spicy one?
What?
Because you have the nostalgia, but I feel like in those rosters there's like two guys who break that nostalgia, and it's a little bit grudgy. Can you guess it?
Two? Like, what do you
I
mean?
mean, I know.
That they hate each other, or what?
I wouldn't say hate, but it just like breaks the good vibes, because it's like everything is so fuzzy about this matchup. Everyone's there to have fun, but I feel like there's two guys there who are clear standout.
I think if you're a pro player and have been a pro player, I think the moment you go on that stage and you load into the game, I think it all comes back to you. I think these guys are going to be there to win,
Yeah.
for sure.
So the people I was referring to is just Forgiven and Reckless.
Yeah, I could see them definitely both really wanting to win this.
Yeah, because I feel like every time when I was playing with Forgiven, one of his like moments or the things that he would spam the most or the things that he was the proudest about was playing against Reckless, and he was like, I take 2 of his towers in 12 minutes. And it was just, it was just so ruthless. So that's why I'm like, it's pure vibes, but Forgiven is kind of there. And that guy, I'm sure he will mean business because he brought up Graves, the old Graves.
True.
And that was his main
yeah.
champion. Old Graves was his main champion. So if there's someone who wants to take over, it has to be that guy.
Reckless Vayne versus Forgiven Graves. Give it to me.
Yeah, hot take for EU LCS show match.
People will not have fun and they will ban iconic champions just to ruin each other's day. There's no way in hell we see Froggen Anivia or Alex Sitch, Master E, or Forgiven Caitlyn or Reckless Vayne.
So they will just ruin all the fun because pro players hate fun. Is that your prediction?
No, they will sit there on that stage. They will hear that champion select music and the ego will turn on and be like, I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna murder everyone.
My only hope from the show match is that now when we have Cyanide back in the studio, we can get him on the desk for a segment or two. Because Cyanide on the desk was.
I don't want to know what he's been thinking about in the last 10 years because the last thing he came up with was that nipples were useless.
Yeah, nipples of a man is useless. And Corky has
good clarification.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's a good clarification.
And Corky has a big package, and so does he. That's another great quote.
Yeah.
But I guess Corky doesn't have a big package anymore. They removed it. So.
Nah, yeah, they nerfed it.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I think all of them on the desk would be pretty fun, to be honest. There's a lot of good personalities there. I remember. I'm like.
I just want to know what Alex. I just want to know what Alex has been doing.
He's been working for Riot, I think, in LA.
Really?
Yeah, he worked as a programmer for a bit. That's all I know.
We do have. I wanted tiny predictions for the weekend. We have on Friday MKOI versus G2 and Vitality versus KC.
Ooh.
I think
they're
G2,
quite one-sided, I would say.
Yeah, G2 versus MKOI. I think pretty clear we think they're going to win. Unless...
I mean...
Oh my god, Finn, again?
No, not again.
You can make arguments for either side.
Okay, yeah, Finn, you make your argument.
Did MKOI win a single game at EWC?
They won a single one. They won one game in the best of 3 against GAM.
Guys, you guys are thinking about this too league-wise. You gotta look at it from a global perspective. Think football. Which team just won the World Cup?
What does it have to do with anything?
Spain just won the World Cup. I think that is a sign for MKOI. I mean,
but G2 is not French or Argentinian.
Doesn't matter. I mean, Spain would beat Germany as well. What I'm trying to say is that I think MKOI is an interesting team to look out for because we don't know where to put them. Coming into summer, I think that's the team I'm the most unsure about.
Finn, we've said this. I feel like I'm having a deja vu, not once, not twice, but 3 times. But that's always the same thing with MKOI.
That's why we love them.
You love them. I hate them. How many more times can we just go into an MKOI series and say, you don't know what they're going to bring?
I feel like we know that they're going to be third. It's going to be G2 or KC.
Okay, that's a strong statement. You don't know that.
Vitality versus KC, though.
I mean, I think KC is clear favorites. KC. Okay, talk to me, Jack. What do you think Vitality is going to be?
Vitality have been doing really good in CSGO, so if we're going to put in World Cup here...
Is it that it's the opposite?
But that's the curse.
It's the curse of Vitality. Have you not listened to Vedio's lecture about the curse of Vitality? Whenever Vitality sees
I'm not as good as coping at you, I'm not going to cope for Vitality. Maybe Fiesta is just the GOAT. That's the only thing I got there. And then
be hype.
Vitality versus G2 on Saturday. I guess pretty similar.
Yeah.
The only thing is the question that remains is G2's had pretty much no scrims in between MSI and EWC. Maybe 3, 4, very, very little. So compared to the other teams, how practiced they are, this is a new patch, right? They're jumping two patches.
Yeah.
So I could see that being a potential for G2 underperforming this weekend with the other teams having scrimmed more, having practiced more.
It's also fatigue, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because G2... So normally I would say G2 and KC should be the favorites of the whole week. And then I'm looking at G2 versus KC. Whatever, who wins. Great for them. But the bigger thing is the fatigue, because these are the only 2 teams I feel like... Well, I don't feel like they are the 2 teams that had to do MSI into EWC.
Yeah.
And then
immediately
constant traveling.
Road trip, constantly traveling. When I was taking the flight yesterday, I met Hansama and he was flying back. And now he needs to fly back in, 3 days?
Yeah.
It's
I mean, G2 generally is a slow starter. Because they
remember their old MSI. Even when they won MSI, that year, when they came back, they were bad for 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, they almost... I mean, they didn't miss playoffs almost, but they were definitely at the edge there. But this one is tough. What I will say is that I really want to see Caps play Locke. That is something I'm looking forward to. I want to see what he does with the champion, because that would be peak cinema.
That would definitely be hype. And then the second matchup on Saturday is MKOI versus KC.
Oh, that's a grudge match if I've ever seen one.
And Finn, you're gonna try to tell me that MKOI is gonna win that. I feel like.
Come on,
I mean, it's an open game. You don't know what happens. Okay. Let's dial it back. League of Legends right now is very high variance.
Okay.
I think MKOI is a team that theoretically could thrive in a very high variance scenario. Think about Joe Japun, Alvaro Eldioya. I mean, when I think about MKOI, I think Alvaro Eldioya opening up fast on the side lane, going super deep, and then making a fast pick there. It's a little bit more difficult now with Phaelites, but still, I want to see what happens if Alvaro plays a lot more on the map and not just playing for lane, because I do think Supa will be fine to be left alone. I don't know how much of the mages he plays. I don't know how much he's practiced. But I do think that theoretically, if Alvaro is freed up, because a big issue for MKOI was there was Enchanters.
He doesn't have to play Enchanters.
Alvaro was not very good at Enchanters. Enchanters are gone. We now have Alvaro that could play Shen, Camille, Leona, Rel, Nautilus, everything that he wants to play. I think that is a good sign for MKOI.
Did we see that MKOI at EWC playing that? Because to be honest, I do not.
We did see. I don't know if Super played any mages. I think he played a 6 game, but he's not the biggest mage player. I think. Let me just have.
I've seen.
When I think of MKOI, exactly, it's what you said, Finn. MKOI at its best is when Alvaro and Elia are unleashed, and we are in a meta where it's all about jungle support, invading camps together, being everywhere, and being best friends. So theoretically, I feel like even with all the issues and inconsistencies that I see from MKOI, if there's one time for them to come alive, is at this roadshow, and it's in this meta. But they still need to make these adaptations to unleash
and
them.
Slam the best mid laner laning phase that can just roam and move to any fights happening. I think MKOI has potential. There's something there.
Supa did not play any mages. He played Estral, Kaisa, and Varus. And Alvaro played engaged support apart from one game on the Nico. Okay. But it was mostly in the GAM series. Mirwin really struggled. And Jojo had a really tough game 3 on Lissandra, where he just got one shot every fight and didn't ulti. While Supa was really good on the Kaisa, which we've always seen him be good on the Kaisa. Yeah. But I do think losing the GAM, for me, it was really, really disappointing. And I do wonder, how's the team morale, because this is a team that's frequently said, the goal is to win worlds. They have high ambitions. So I feel like consistently
it's now or never.
Yeah.
It's now or never for this roster, I think.
Do you think that helps them, or do you think the pressure is going to make them crumble?
It's impossible to tell from the outside, If they are the team that they are talking about themselves, that they think they are, this is when they're going to step up.
Okay, fair enough. And then on Sunday, we have Vitality versus MKOI. Thoughts?
Why did Vitality just decide to make me lose all faith in them? Because this I normally would have been so hyped.
We'll see. I think maybe we're being too harsh. Maybe we're being too harsh on Vitality. It could be they come in and you always, when you make a roster change, there's the honeymoon effect, if the vibe was bad after they lost, maybe the best way to bounce back is be we got a new mid now and he's better at this, and this. We got it.
And we'll see. It's super hard to tell what Vitality is going to do, because we barely knew what they were going to do last split. And now they've suddenly changed their cornerstone of their macro gameplay. So it's very unpredictable. It's very Vitality-esque. We don't know what they're bringing. We do know that Kars is going to fight. We do know that Naknako is going to try to win lane. And we do know that Linsas and Fleshy, I think, had huge glow-ups in spring. And I want to see them keep building on that. Because as you say, the meta is all about support jungle, working together, invading. And I think Fleshy and Linsa showed a lot of growth in this area. And I want to see them if they can bring it up for this summer as well.
I think they're going to get too old.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I think
nice
this last matchup on Sunday is the most hype. KC versus G2. The team that did the best European team at MSI versus the best European team at EWC. Who you guys got?
I just hope that their level is good and it's not two guys in a retirement home because they're just so exhausted from.
Okay, but give me a prediction. Give me a prediction here.
2-0 G2.
2-0 G2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I take that.
What? I think 2-1 KC.
Why?
I don't know what happened to you, Jack, but for the last 2 weeks, you're the biggest KC stan.
He's even wearing blue.
Because they've performed well in the last 2 weeks. They performed better in the last 2 weeks.
That's why you changed even your profile picture and your
for
title.
1 day. For one day, I was a KC fan.
Well, it looks like not. It looks like you're here to stay.
It looks like an extended process here, but yeah, it's okay. Jack, tell me, why is KC gonna win?
Because they looked better in the last 2 weeks.
So you're just purely results based.
Yes.
Okay.
What else would I be based on?
Maybe
I don't know their
gameplay,
scrims.
maybe meta.
Yeah, they had better results because their gameplay was better.
Oh.
They literally faced against the same teams that G2 lost to. They played against AGAL that G2 lost to and 2-0'd them, and then they played against DK that was tough for both teams.
Bro, I mean, DK was playing for survival, pretty much. Like, it's like fear a man with it's literally fear a man with nothing to lose. That was just DK. No one, they were unstoppable.
They had that hunger, yeah.
They had that hunger in them, yeah.
But yeah, that's why I think KC is gonna win. I also think Kana has just been performing so well, and normally I feel like when you look at G2 versus KC, Yahoo would maybe be a liability up against Caps, but I don't think so at all. Like Showmaker was the only player I felt that actually punished Yahoo in EWC, and I don't think Caps is like currently in crazy good form.
Counterpoint: every single time Scuman has played Yike, he has been his absolute father.
I do love Scuman. I do love Scuman. I mean, Scuman's good. But Scuman, I think, also hasn't looked the greatest the last few. Like, against Inspired, he was really struggling. And in EWC, he was pretty struggling.
Yeah, I mean, Scuman didn't have great international success these past weeks, but I do have a lot of faith in Scuman going up against Yike. It feels like every single time they play, Scuman just reads the map so much better. And in the end, I think jungle is the strongest role. And I have faith in Scuman to kind of pull G2 across the finish line.
That's fair. Good arguments. But if you guys had to choose, out of all the matchups, which one would be your favorite or most exciting for? Do you want me to read them all again?
MKOI KC, for sure.
MKOI KC? For me, it's KC G2, for sure. I think KC G2 is going to be a banger.
Bro, MKOI KC in Paris. MKOI is coming in after Spain just won the World Cup, completely one versus
Junior World Cup. It doesn't change anything.
1 versus 10,000 in the arena. They step up and they just play League of Legends.
I don't care about the World Cup, but it's just when there's so many doubts and questions about MKOI coming in and having, probably the perfect grudge match between MKOI and KC, it sets the stage for the whole split for both of these teams, I feel like.
And KC has beat MKOI in their own arena this year. I think MKOI wants to do the same, but reversed, of course.
And it's not going to happen because KC's going to win. So,
great argument.
Moving on. Do you guys have any hot takes? It does say like some hot takes here, but if you guys don't have any, then that's fine.
Hot take.
I mean,
I have a very good hot take.
Yeah.
I think the best answer to Mage's bot is tanks. You should just play AD carry Sion, AD carry Ornn.
I can see it.
And just rush an MR item. Your support can do whatever you want. You can even buy the MR Sunfire Cape. Is it Hollow Radiance?
Hollow Radiance.
Just one shot every single wave under tower. What are you gonna do when you have like a Ziggs or a Mel and there's just a Sion with a 5,000 HP just clearing every single wave in front of you? You can use the Roar of the Slayer E into the Unstoppable Onslaught combo.
Good take. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just flabbergasted by the take though. Where are you gonna get damage then? Who's gonna do damage on your
thankfully
team?
you can have a Vayne top or Tristana top.
True.
You can have Neferi jungle. You can have Mage mid. I think tanks should go in the AD carry position because it frees up the support a lot. It supports the strong lanes and other strong matchups in other lanes, and the jungler especially is freed up.
I would hate you so much if you're right, because that's just...
Yeah, I don't like the way that this meta is shaping up, if that's the truth, but I like the logic. It makes sense. I was also thinking like bruisers and tanks on bot lane. Like, because when you think about it, like mages, why would you not want to play mages on top? And it's because like if you play into tanks or like an annoying bruiser, it's so annoying in the long lane.
If you play against Cassandra Nautilus, you cannot play the game if you're playing a mage. Like if it's a good Cassandra player, of course. I don't know if we're gonna get some weird role swaps again, like we got 2018, where
that would be crazy.
But I do think Tank's bot lane has a lot of potential, and it's very under researched right now. No one is really trying it out, what I know of, but I think people should.
That's good. You got something, Odo?
Let me think.
I mean, you did say Fnatic would be top 3. That's pretty hot.
I mean, it is a hot take. I'm just a believer that the top teams with the roster changes they did.
Actually, can I just ask, if Fnatic is top 3, which one of MKOI, KC, and G2 are you guys taking the spot of?
MKOI?
Okay.
Probably. So the reason is this: it's not just because of like incredible bias, because there's bias there, of course. There's no doubt about that. But if there's a circumstance where this can happen, is probably right now when I think that the top teams outside of KC and G2 and maybe even G2 with this change in the coaching department just collapses a little bit. But I just think player-wise, none of the top teams or like the roster changes from the top teams give me incredible faith that, oh, these teams made a clear upgrade. They're going to start facing off and trying to push for KC or G2's spot. Instead, they're kind of side grades, or they're a little band-aid that you just hope that this was the piece that you finally needed to go for the top 3 spot, to make Worlds with this low amount of time. So if there's a circumstance where a bottom team can push for this top 3 spot, it is now when, arguably the teams that are ranked 3, 4, and 5 made side grades that, in my opinion, are not a clear winner.
Okay.
You're very unconvinced, and I don't care.
So, unbiased, I'm going to give you my totally unbiased take here.
Okay.
Gives a super biased take. I mean, I don't think, you can make that co-op argument that the teams are in disarray, but in the end, every single summer split is the same.
Yeah.
The teams that go to Worlds are the teams that don't implode. So that goes in your favor. If Fnatic doesn't implode...
Bro, Fnatic made Worlds in the last 8 years or so.
True, like the stats are on your side.
Every single time Fnatic was ass in winter and spring, they made Worlds.
You are not wrong. I mean, genuinely, in summer split, that's where you see the most team implosions, and being able to just stick it through as a team and kind of work through your problems without any harsh feelings is kind of what propels you forward.
I'm just saying, there were a lot of harsh feelings in Fnatic in spring, so... That civil war has passed.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I don't I think that's possible, yeah.
Well, that's it for us. That's everything. Wow, incredible.
We did it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe and follow and stay up to date with the league.
And comment what you think Fnatic is going to do.
Yeah, do you guys think Fnatic is going to be top 2 maybe, no?
Give us a comment on how you think Fnatic will do.
Fnatic will win Worlds. That's what Odo said.
You guys cannot ask the mass, because everyone's favorite sport nowadays is hate watching Fnatic. You cannot just throw me into the wolves like that.
If you made it all the way to the end, comment that Fnatic will win Worlds. And then Odo will be happy. Odo will be very happy.
I'll press like.
Yeah, Odo will be like, he'll show that to the coaching staff. No, he'll show it to the coaching AI of Fnatic. Well, yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. And again, thanks to our partner, ExpressVPN. You can visit expressvpn.com/LEC to get your exclusive LEC offer from the #1 gaming VPN. Signing up today will unlock Hextech Chest, giving you access to in-game champions and skins like Aurora and Xin Zhao. Remember, the rewards will vary depending on the plan that you choose.